Hello and welcome back to Does It Go Hard, the show where I review movies, video games, and more. Today is a really special review because I'm going to be reviewing something that's not necessarily new. I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite films of all time, the original 1987 Predator, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, with other big action actors or people around the time, like Carl Weathers is another big name in this film. So the reason I wanted to do this review specifically is because the newest Predator film in the franchise, Prey, is coming out pretty soon. I think it's coming out on Friday, actually. So I just kind of wanted to do this as somewhat of a tribute review because I love Predator. I love the movie. I love, the characters, I love the creature, I love the world of the Predator in general. I think it's an interesting world that unfortunately I don't think it's been explored very well, unfortunately, in any of the sequels. While I think Predator 2 is great, I don't think it's as good as the original film. Predator was one that I was really harsh the first time I watched it. I've kind of sopped in a little bit on it, but I still don't necessarily love it. Now, the 2018 The Predator, that shit was bonkers. That shit was insane. And all the wrong reasons. So, the Predator franchise has definitely had its ups and lows. But Prey does look like it's trying to do something different, which I'm really excited about. It's coming out on Hulu on Friday. I don't know how I'm gonna watch it because I don't have a Hulu account, so I'm gonna have to find a way to watch it some way or another. Anyways, that's pretty much the reason why I wanted to make this video in the first place. Predator was one of the movies that I grew up watching, mainly because my dad showed it to me when I was very young, of course amongst other movies like Terminator, Alien, and many other films like Ghostbusters as well. So my dad definitely introduced me to a lot of the films that today I consider some of my favorite. Jaws is another one of them. I've always seen something particularly special about Predator, because from far away, it just looks like another generic action, testosterone-filled action film. But underneath the surface, there's actually more to this film that a lot of people give it credit for. I mean, of course, the first thing I need to talk about this film is the absolute silliness that this film starts off as. Because I'll be honest, yes, the movie does start as a completely dumb and just by the numbers action film with a lot of testosterone-filled action stars. I mean, you got Arnold as your flagship character. All of these people are absolutely muscular. They are the definition of macho. And it's very clear that the movie is not trying to take any of these characters seriously. At least at the beginning, the movie really acknowledges that yes, all these guys are probably stupid. They are just some of the most macho people you could ever imagine. And it is absolutely glorious how over the top every single one of these people are. I mean, I think one of the clearest examples that they're not trying to take themselves too seriously at the beginning of the film is the fact that this movie likes to tell a lot of silly ass jokes and puns. I mean, I think probably one of my favorites of all time has to be that one scene. He throws a knife at the guy, and Arnold says,
"Stick around."
It's absolutely goofy. The beginning of the film is definitely goofy, and it has a lot of those silly things. I mean, probably one of the most iconic scenes of the movie is when Arnold and Carl Weathers meet up for the first time, and they literally have that handshake, and it is just two muscly, veiny, oiled up arms, and it's so ridiculous, yet it is so badass at the same time.
Dylan! You son of a bitch.
And all the characters are like that. There's not a single character here that is like not a super macho, testosterone-filled guy. I mean, at least there's probably only one character here that is not like that, or two. But other than that, all these guys are pretty much the same. They are all the same in terms of just being big, muscly, oiled-up dudes. It's just hilarious. But I absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant because the movie clearly knows that it's doing it on purpose. Because I've heard over the years a lot of people complain that the movie is really silly and it's really badly written. And yes, you can definitely make an argument for that. But the thing is, I feel like it's done on purpose. I don't think it's accidental. I think that they are literally at the beginning of the film, they're writing these characters as over the top as possible. So when the twist comes in or the actual movie starts, you start to look at the movie in a different light. It's a subversive film if you really think about it. And a lot of people don't like to give this movie credit just for the sake of they see those first few minutes of the movie where it's just completely like action filled stupidity. I just feel like it's wrong to judge the movie only by that. Now let me just also say this movie has not aged particularly well in some aspects. Of course, some effects are not gonna age well, but that happens with a lot of movies, okay? But there is some dialogue that definitely I feel like is very definitely old and could be considered offensive. And I acknowledge that. It's wrong now, and it was wrong then. But, you know, you kind of have to look at the movie as a movie from its time and not judge it, you know, only based on that, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to defend the movie for some of the outdated shit that it has in terms of dialogue. I'm just saying that, you know, you should at least understand that the movie's from a different time, where things were different. And I know that even though back then it was also wrong, you kind of have to look at it through the glasses of those times, you know? But I just kind of wanted to clear that off, okay? Because I know that a lot of people were probably gonna say something about it, but either way, I just wanted to acknowledge it. But again, after that incredibly over-the-top first, like, 20 minutes or so, after that, this movie completely changes into something not only different, but in my opinion, something amazing and truly subversive. The movie literally changes from what you think is just gonna be another generic action movie. It turns into somewhat of a horror-ish, suspenseful sci-fi film, and I love that about it, especially with the predator, the alien creature. To this day, I will say that it is one of the best designs ever in terms of any extraterrestrial creature. It's an incredible design. And one of the things that I feel like is very impressive, at least for time, is that the movie really does a great job of not showing you the face of the creature up until the final battle with Arnold's character and the Predator. And I think that's really cool, especially if you were seeing this movie for the first time. Seeing that face for the first time was definitely a shocker. It was incredibly disgusting, and it was new at the time. There was not another creature design that looked anything like that. There's also an interesting story behind the design of the character, because originally it was not gonna look like the predator that we ended up having. Originally it looked like a big ant, and it just looked completely silly. And there's also more details around this old design. Originally, Jean-Claude Van Damme was in the suit in the original design of the creature of the Predator to do kind of the stunt work for the creature. There was a few things where he had to leave because they said that he was kind of bitching a lot about the heat and the weather and stuff. I mean, I don't blame him. They're filming in hot-ass Mexico, so it's like, I don't blame him. But still, it's kind of interesting.
And they wanted to shoot on the muddy slopes of Mexico in the real jungles. It was virtually physically impossible to do. They wanted to just tell the guy to hop around like a frog, and it was Jean-Claude Van Damme who had no idea what he was getting into. He was just off the boat from Brussels. He thought this was actually the real look of the monster in the movie. And he goes, I hate this, I look like a superhero.
I think the way that they came up with the new design, because the old design was really rough and it was really hard to work with, they had to find a different design. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the person that gave the idea of the design that we know and love today was from James Cameron. I think it's absolutely great that they listened to him and actually went with this design that we now know. Just how amazing this design is and how well it's aged over the years. The creature also has a full arsenal of weaponry, and it's just so cool. And to see how the Predator just kind of starts killing each one of our human characters one by one until the last duel between the Predator and Arnold, I think it's amazing. They actually make you somewhat care for these characters, even though they're all kind of the same. They're all kind of just muscly guys by the end of the day. you do feel bad by the end when they start to get killed off. Now here's the thing, this movie's not gonna make you cry by any means, but you do feel bad for some of these characters, especially with some particular that were so connected with other characters that it's like, man, I feel bad for the death of this character because this character was best friends with this other character. Oh, I don't know what the fuck I just did. It just was so cool how they actually make you care for characters that by the end of the day, they're all kind of the same character. It's really impressive in my opinion. The film is also incredibly quotable. I mean, I know that I've said that probably before in the video, but this movie's filled with so many quotes, and of course, again, one of the most iconic.
Run! Go! Get to the chopper!
Or
Kill me, I'm here! Kill me!
Or my personal favorite, which goes back to the first time Arnold and Carl Weathers meet.
You son of a bitch!
Me and my dad do that shit all the time. This truly is an amazing film that I feel like a lot of people don't appreciate as much as I feel that they should, because it was kind of a genre-changing film. It mixed up a lot of different genres into one, or at least a lot of different styles of filmmaking into one, and they did such a great job that I feel like the fact that people are now only just kind of looking at it as only a dumb action movie, to me that's kind of dumb in my opinion. I feel the movie is more than just a dumb action movie. It is a film that has aged incredibly. I mean, for the most part, it's aged pretty well in terms of the story, in terms of, you know, having these ridiculous but fun characters. I know that some of the dialogue has not aged very well, like I said, but again, some of the effects are still incredible. The Predator design is incredible still. The movie itself, it still holds up in its subversiveness in terms of starting off as one thing and then completely changing into something completely different, and I just absolutely love the film for that. Yeah, man, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that, yeah, this movie goes hard, really hard. It is an amazing film. It is one of my favorite films of all time. Every time I watch it, I just have a big old dumb smile on my face that I just love this film so much, man. If you have not watched Predator, the original, the 1987 film, you should definitely watch it. I think it's an absolute blast, and I'm sure that you're gonna enjoy it. It is truly a masterpiece in my eyes, and I just love it. I love this film and I love this franchise. That's why it makes me so sad that they just can't do anything incredible again. But hey, maybe Prey will change that. Join me next weekend when I review the latest fighting game from Warner Brothers, which is Multiverses. I have a lot of opinions and a lot of things to say about that game, so definitely can't wait for you guys to watch that review. Thank you so much for watching, and good day, good night, and stay safe.